It can be a bit daunting for young girls, guys leaving home. Yeah, it's nice to sort of give them a guiding hand and nurture them along, and that personal side of things. Yeah, that's how you just build it, by communication and having good people on the front.
This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day meat lovers, welcome and thanks for listening into the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast and getting some valuable information, tips and tricks from some of the butchers we're interviewing, and a big thanks to everyone who's tuning in and enjoying the podcast. In a few moments, I'll be catching up with butcher Marcus Vermey from Tassie. Marcus owns a great family business in Sandy Bay. It's a part of the world where some of the best Australian beef and lamb is grown. All the way from Sandy Bay, Tasmania, Marcus Vermey.
G'day, Doug. Beautiful down here in Tassie, as always.
As always, yeah. Well, I'm in Sydney, Central Coast, mate. And we got the sun going in and out of the clouds. We haven't had any rain yet today, which is a first for a while. So the weather's warming up. So it's still pretty cool down there. Yeah,
not too bad. We've had a few little frosts and things, but it's spring's certainly in the air. You know, I went round to a farm on the weekend and had a look around there, stock, etc., and things are looking good.
When you were down there, when you're selecting your own lambs off the farms, were you looking at different breeds, or were you pretty much sticking with one breed? Or
generally, we're sort of looking at your standard sort of breeds, but there's a lot of people like to have a look at a bit of a rarer breeds. It's always the flavour of the month. To look at the pork and Berkshires and all those sort of things. So we've got a farmer who's a friend, and she's got English Leicester, which she sort of pretty much brought back from near extinction, and she's pretty good at wanting to promote her stuff, and some of the restaurants use hers, so we've helped push her along a little bit. So we'll tend to use some of her lambs first up.
Okay, so are they a larger lamb, a bigger muscle lamb, or what puts them apart? What's the difference?
They're quite a good sized lamb. I say they're a heritage lamb, sort of pretty much some of the first lambs that came into Tasmania, and they've got a really lovely old property, plenty of grass, plenty of water. They're well looked after, etc., and they eat well. Probably dress out roughly around about 18 to 20 kilos. Can go bigger, of course, but as little springers, we don't want them so too big.
Mm-hmm. I remember my first trip down to Tassie a few years ago, and I did a job with a bunch of producers down there, and they were special. One of the guys, I stayed on his farm, and he was specialised in Charolais lamb. I'd never heard of it before. I thought Charolais was only had to do with beef, but didn't realise it was a lamb breed as well. And they were beautiful big lambs too.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
Haven't you? No. It blew me away. Well, he's down there in Tassie, mate. It's not that big. You should be able to find him. So how's business going, mate? How's the shop trading?
Yeah, not too bad. It's had its usual COVID issues, of course, with staff and things, but we diversified pretty quickly. My wife, we teamed up with fish producers, veggie producers, bakers, and started putting things together, boxes of food boxes. So you had fresh fruit and veggies, milk, bread, coffee, all types of things like that, and helped people out through COVID, if they couldn't get out and about, of course, with the restrictions. Mind you, Tassie, we were doing pretty well down here till we opened up the borders to you mainlanders.
To Victorians, mate, to Victoria.
Yeah, so doing that sort of really helped to put us out as the butchers helping other people and helping other industries. So that was pretty well received. And, people were and still are coming back to the butcher shops. So it's been pretty busy, but staffing has been hard, with people getting COVID, and we had lots of restrictions, and we were very careful on how we let people in, etc. So to minimise effect in the workplace, split shifts and all those sort of things. But, we seem to have nearly got through it now.
Oh, that's good, mate. Are you continuing to do those food boxes or...?
Yeah, no, we're still doing it, especially, people who have to isolate and things like that. So we'd probably do, now, maybe up to 10 a week or something like that. Before, with COVID, it was absolutely flat out. So
Really? Is it something that you think you might keep on?
Yeah, definitely. It helps, and not just for COVID. Young mums, they want something, so we'll give them a basic sort of range with products they can add to and certain packs. But it's fairly flexible as long as they give us a little bit of notice. So the emails will come through at night, and we sort of have them back up to their place generally by about 10 o'clock the next day.
The whole meal kit, the whole meal box business has just grown so much since the beginning of COVID. And even in the last 12 months, they've seen a rise of about between 25-30% in usage of the meal kits, like your Marley spoons and your U-Fresh and all that, those sort of companies. That's what I'm talking about. So that's something that we feel it's something that butchers should probably grasp and have a look at, because there's, like yourself, you're doing it in a sort of very similar sort of way, but you can value add to that by obviously doing your bits and pieces that go into the box, but making up the meals to go with it, with the recipe and everything, just like those other companies you're doing. And it's an opportunity there to, I suppose, attract a different customer.
Oh, definitely. And, with those things, you get your MLA pamphlets, etc., for beef and lamb and all those things, which we pop into the boxes. So that sort of gives them another sort of scope of what they can do, which that all helps.
Yeah, my cousin does. He's got a shop in Mark and Sam down there in Elder Street Butchery in South Australia. They got these bags hanging up from their ceiling on a display, really, and it's got different meals that they can buy there. So it's got a korma curry, like a beef korma or a lamb kofta or whatever they are, and people come in, they say, I'll have a whatever bag it is, and they just put the mince or diced or whatever it is into the bag along with the condiments that go with it, and there's a set price. And it's a way of bundling up everything that they need. So they have to carry, like you have to carry a little bit extra stock, like your rices and bits and pieces that go with it. But it's a great. It works really well, actually. They do all right out of it.
Definitely, and it gets the staff and everyone a bit more involved, sort of in producing and cooking and suggestions and things. So during COVID too, we took advantage of one of the grants that came through. So above the shop, we've got fridges and freezers and things, and a spare room which we had as a kitchen, but we've completely converted into a working kitchen, inox oven and blast freezer and a few other things there. Just trying to sort of get through council at the moment properly, because as soon as you sort of come up with something and think, oh, this would be good, and we'll do cooking up here and we'll put it in the blast chiller and bring the temperature down, cryovac it, sell it out the front, the council sort of go, oh, okay, what do you got here? And start asking questions, etc. So I just got to tick that off a little bit, because it's in a semi sort of detached part of the business. It just creates for them a few more little issues, which we'll sort of get through and eventually get done, hopefully.
Cooked meals are great. Like that's the way of the future as well, I think, for butchers. I was just trying to go back through my notes here from the other week. I was talking to Rod from Amic down there in Vic the other day, and he mentioned about a butcher there. I think it was Rowville. I'm not too sure where it was, but it was somewhere in Vic. This guy now does predominantly probably about 80% of his windows all pre-cooked, and he has a very small section at the back of his butcher window in the display area where he's just got a few steaks and chops, all his popular lines there, but only very, very minimal. But the rest of the window is made up of all these pre-packed containers with all his what he's got on sale for the day. And come around about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe he does a lot of roasts, and he puts them in the foil trays with veggies already cooked, ready to go. You can either pre-order, or you can just come and take potluck, I suppose, and get what's available for you. But it's another form, another way that we've seen butchers reinvent themselves, I suppose, if they're trying to get that extra meal occasion, that midweek meal out of mum and dad's out there. Well, having a cooked product, I think, is definitely you're on the right track, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard that sort of with other guys that I'm involved with AMIC, other council members who are doing it in New South Wales and Queensland and things. So it's just a matter of getting time to sort of go through and make sure we tick all the right boxes. We've put a butcher or a chef who wants to eventually be a butcher on, and hopefully we can get him upstairs and up and going and cooking commercially.
How valuable are those guys, the chefs? They can bring so much value to your business.
Oh, definitely. Just we think we know a lot, but it's, they've got that 5%, 1%, just to tick the box correctly. Exactly right.
Yeah.
But even during COVID, we had chefs. So when a lot of the restaurants were all shut down, we had Nepalese guys from out at Mona. Mona's sort of one of the biggest tourism things happening in Tassie, and Walshy's done an amazing job there. But because these guys weren't Australian citizens, they couldn't get any grants to subsidise them, even though David was still heavily subsidising a lot of the staff and things to sort of keep them employed. So we had Surindra coming to work with us, which gives the chefs a bit of knowledge of how you break up products. And when you want a skirt steak, you realise, there's only 2 skirts per body weighing around about 700 grams, and we want 30 or 40 of these in number. And why can't we get that straight away? And they go, okay. So it was actually good because we're educating the chefs on different products, what can be substituted for something that they specifically think has to be the number one product to be used at the time. And, of course, them teaching us as well. That happened for a good 6 months or more, and we've had other chefs come and do work with us as well during that period of time. It was good actually seeing everyone working together and helping each other out.
Yeah, it's a real two-way street, isn't it? They've got so much they can offer, and so do butchers. Butchers can also give them a greater appreciation of the beast, of what comes off an animal and how it's all prepared.
Yeah. It's good fun and always evolving and changing, and it's a good industry.
We know that Tassie's really well known for its cattle, for the beef that's produced around the islands, around the place there. Are you seeing anything different out there coming through? Any particular types of brands that you've found?
We buy from the market and generally sort of pick certain areas, and got a buyer who picks pretty well for us all the time. Mind you, I've seen things getting bigger and bigger. Cattle you used to get in the shop 160, maybe 200 kilos. You're now 300, 320 and bigger, which, we've just got to be careful. Poor old meat carter lumping those things around. But there's a group, Tasag, who are really heavy in promoting their Geum Pacific Angus cattle. And I suppose you've got other Cape Grim, those guys who, not necessarily is all from Cape Grim, but they will find farms that meet their standard, that produce the cattle to what they want for their specs, and then they're certified to be a Cape Grim supplier. That's pretty consistent, and it's good for Tassie, because these farmers are getting some top dollars for their products. The only thing is sometimes it's a little bit hard to find the product in Tassie. It's probably easy to find it over on the mainland because it's all sent that way and comes back. Buying out of the market, we're pretty happy with what we're getting. It is expensive, but you got to charge accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a unique product there that's fresh. It comes directly from the from the producer. Hasn't gone over to the mainland, as you say, to the mainland and back again. So it's nice and fresh, and it's quality product.
Yeah, you look at the bloom and the colour and things like that on the carcass, and it just isn't getting stressed. It's not travelling distances, etc. I think it's going well.
So Sandy Bay, mate, how long have you been in the shop for?
Oh, too long.
A lot of butchers say that.
But it's been in the Vermey family since about 1966. And before that, it was a butcher shop with a guy called Freddie Clifford, which his son is Bob Clifford, who builds the catamarans in Tassie that are sort of all around the world. So, and the Cliffords still come into the shop, which is nice. But I think overall the shop's probably been there for at least probably about 80 years. And I've been in it since, I think it was about 97.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did my apprenticeship elsewhere, did it at Coles and worked with them for 5 years, and then had a little bit of time off and went work for the old man.
Yeah, right, yeah. I remember when we were down there the other couple of years ago with the Greatest Butcher and finally got to see the shop. It's a lovely shop. It's a big shop too. It's got a lot of Like, not just the counter side of it's nice and neat and tidy and makes you want to buy something. I wish I had a bigger bag. I would have bought a heap of stuff and taken it home with me, because it's just had that feel about it. And the guys that you had working there were so great on the counter too. They were very helpful.
No, we've got a fairly probably young sort of crew at the moment, and we just had one of the butchers, a female one, Jess, just won World Skills for Tassie. So that's the first time a female has won it. So hopefully she'll go on further, and it's a great thing. We've got 2 female butchers or apprentice butchers coming on at the moment, which is good.
We've seen a lot of female butchers out there over the years, and they just bring a little bit of something different to the shop, probably a little bit of calm, if anything. They're very good on the counter. They're very good talking to people, and they've quite, I don't know, their skills they marry up with some of the best butchers around the place. That's what we've seen.
Definitely neat and tidy, and if they've got brothers, they're certainly not afraid to sort of push back on on any of the boys. And I let them beware of that. I think one of them's got about 5 brothers, and the other's got 2 older brothers. So you still think, the girls, they'll be right. No, they're no pushovers.
Beware.
They're great.
Beware. No, we interviewed Sarah Wadlin a while back then. She's from a butchery family for quite a few generations. I can't remember I think she's 4th or 5th generation butcher. Fantastic woman, fantastic girl. She's so knowledgeable and so passionate about it. And she was actually working outside of the family business, because they own Moree Meats down there in Strathfield in Sydney. And she really loved it. But now she's I think they decided we want you in the business, and she decided to make a change, and now she's working there in Moree Meats and loving it still, as far as I know. Last time I heard from her. So yeah, it's good to see the ladies coming through and enjoying the trade.
Definitely, and of course, because most of the people who come in the shop would probably be 60% female coming in to sort of buy for the family, and it's nice to have another female there chatting away as well.
You mentioned Nepalese people working in the butcher shop. I was talking to a guy down south, and he had 2 or 3 Nepalese working in his business pre-COVID, and he was saying he nearly cried when he had to let them go, because they had done their time. I think their visa had expired, and they had to go and work in regional New South Wales somewhere, or Australia somewhere, working on a farm.
Yep.
And he'd train these people up to these employees up to a standard of a butcher, without any sort of formal training or formal qualifications. But they'd started obviously out as clean up, and then they get onto sausages and mince, just like we do, and then into other areas of the business. And they ran his business for him, basically, because without him he was really, really tight on staff. You can't get tradesmen, as we know. We spoke about it earlier today.
Yep.
Tradesmen are very hard to come by. So having a lot of these Nepalese butchers people coming through his business really helped him survive and to flourish and to grow his business. So I can understand where you're coming from when you were able to get a chef.
Yeah.
You had that sort of background.
Well, Tasmania has the 2nd biggest Nepalese community outside of Nepal.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
There you go.
It's huge down here. And as a good mate of mine who I work with rowing, he runs tours to Nepal and things. And he said to me, they come here because they've been down the bottom of the pile, and they work so hard because they want to provide for their family, and they just want to get up and go. And when you're in Nepal, there's not a lot of opportunities. So to be given that opportunity to come to another country, regardless of Australia or wherever you go to, they just really want to work hard, provide for the family, and give that opportunity out. So they are so grateful for the work, and are happy to please. So you hear that everywhere, sort of these new Australians coming in. But it is a problem too, where if you want to employ people, part of those visa restrictions, it might only be 20 hours and those sort of things, that you can't have them for a certain period of time, or they've got to move on to another area. That's something I don't know if they're going to bring that up with the job summits that are on at the moment. But I've spoken to members of Parliament, etc., in Tasmania and voicing that opinion that, something needs to be done for these guys who really want to do something, and they don't want to take the risk of trying to do, in brackets, a cash in hand and those sort of things. And, one, there's no cash anyway, but it's pretty hard if you're only able to do 20 hours. They want to work more, but they're restricted by it.
That'd be great if something could happen there, that's for sure. I'm sure that would solve a lot of guys' labour shortages.
Oh, definitely.
So Tassie's a good place to work, mate?
It is. It really is. Like, you're so close to everything. For me, in Sandy Bay, I can be up on the top of the mountain in 20 minutes. I can be down at the beach in 5 minutes. You could be skiing up on a mountain in an hour and a half. You can be on a beach and no one else is there.
Even better.
So it's great. And the off time, you can go diving and etc. and grab crays and abs, and it's still pretty easy. A few weeks back, went diving, last a chance of scallops with a mate. We were down 50 scallops, picked them up, back in the boat 7 minutes.
Wow.
And big, size of a beer can top. So the whole top of a beer can, magnificent scallops. So, Tassie certainly has opportunity, really good schools, lovely people. This misconception of, it's always wet and cold, far from it, especially considering what's been happening up on the eastern seaboard of Australia the last sort of couple of years.
Yeah, I remember when I was there last, we had a real mixed bag of weather. It was when the boats were coming in from the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. We were there for Taste of Tassie. I saw you there too, actually. You were supplying the meat for us. And I think one day it was like 35, 36 degrees in the morning, and come mid-afternoon you could just see it coming over the range, and here she came. It just dropped down to like 17 degrees. It was just incredible. We see that here as well. It still happens on the mainland. We get that occasionally too, but it was I distinctly remember that, just how quickly everything changed. It was within about half an hour, bang.
Yeah, never pack away your Tassie tuxedo.
Your puffer jacket.
Yeah. That's the Tassie tuxedo.
I haven't got one of those. I should buy one. No, I don't need one. It certainly sounds very attractive. Be a great place. And I suppose housing and that is still quite affordable down there, or have you had a lot of people move down there from the mainland?
It's certainly gone up all around Australia, but depends if you're happy to drive, half an hour to work, which, half an hour is not far in Tassie. It's so close compared to sort of anywhere on the mainland where you're catching buses and trains and everything else. And, the problem in Tassie is people are so used to just parking and pulling up in front of somewhere, or maybe having to walk for a minute to a shop. We're just not used to the fact of having to park somewhere, then walk and get to work other ways. But they're actually started a ferry service on the Derwent now, which is good. So trying to keep the cars out of the city. They've got them going from the eastern shore, and that's expanding, going really, really well. The only trip I did, I think, was going to the cricket, which I remember, and coming back from the cricket against England, and I don't remember.
That's Australian.
Absolutely. It was very good. First day of the Ashes. So
back to the butcher shop, Marcus. What are you doing that's different that you think might be valuable for other butchers to maybe try in their own businesses?
Well, I suppose we've sort of tried to keep as much as we can with fresh product. It's very easy to go boxed, etc. And we've really established sort of our dry aging, that sort of thing, knowing where the product is from. So a lot of the restaurants down here, especially the top end ones, really emphasize that paddock to plate and want to know that sort of story. So that's something we've always stuck very true to. We'd like to be innovative, of course, with the snags and what you do in the cabinet as well. But I think our main thing is having that consistency of product coming through off cattle and sheep, knowing our farmers, which is great. Sort of you can actually drive to them and see them and have a chat to them. That's something that, and a few shops are starting to really sort of push that now.
Are there many shops down in Tassie? How many, top off your head, how many do you think there are in Tasmania?
I think all up probably around about sort of 60.
Really?
And there's probably a few more that aren't sort of members with AMIC and what have you, sort of small 1-2 man type businesses. I think most people try to get to a butcher nowadays. It's not going to be packaged up as it is at supermarkets now, and I think the majority of supermarkets around Australia have pretty much shut their counter service side of things. And it can be a bit daunting for young girls, guys going out, leaving home, not sure what they want. So, if they're coming into the business, it's nice to sort of give them a guiding hand and sort of take a bit of time with them and nurture them along and ask what they're doing. So that personal side of things of, what are you after? What are you going to do? How are you going to cook it? Being told to use this, what about using this instead? And, that's how you just build it, by communication and having, good people on the front.
Yeah, definitely. That winning the customer over is, it gets a lot of loyalty. If you help them out just the once, you get so much loyalty out of that. And then they tell their friends and, go and see these guys at Sandy Bay, blah, blah, blah. That's the way it all works. We all know that. And it's such an important part of our business that we can be different in compared to the supermarkets, because they can't do that. They can't offer that service.
No. So, I think that's the main thing that we all try to sort of push. And as I say to the staff, yes, I pay you, but I don't pay you because it's the people that come in the door that pay me to pay you. So, they're the number one people to always look after.
Yeah. What's happening with AMIC at the moment, mate? You got your Sausage King rounds happening around the place down in Tassie, and
that's starting up again pretty soon, which we've had a nearly 3-year hiatus. Just impossible to get product around the state, get it to the mainland, get people down for judging and all those sort of things. So we're going to kick that off in the next couple of months, do it down at Salamanca.
Okay.
So I've always tried to sort of do it where potentially you might get people involved, as in just locals coming past. So we've done it at Mona a couple of times. We've done it up at Joe Cromie's place up in Launceston, hoping that you sort of just get people passing and asking what's going on. And we thought, well, might try Salamanca this coming year.
Definitely, yeah. So what's on the agenda for today, mate? Your boys, are they in the shop or they're still at school? You've got a couple of boys, haven't you?
No, I've got one just about to finish school.
Yep.
One's up in Queensland doing marketing, etc., business up at Bond. Another one who's just about to finish engineering. They all come into the shop, especially Christmas time, and if they're down on holidays, they're either doing deliveries or coming in on Saturday cleaning up and things like that. So don't know if I'll get anyone coming through, which is a little bit of disappointment because, that'd be the fourth generation.
Yeah.
But you never say never.
No, they might change their mind down the track.
Yeah, but no, nothing too much today. I've just been sort of looking at turkey lists and things like that. So Christmas isn't far around the corner.
Anything else you want to talk about today, mate? You got anything pressing you'd like to get off your chest, or anything that maybe AMIC's doing? Or
I think AMIC's sort of, we're still reviewing and trying to sort of work out pathways and stuff and promote and help out the butchers and, sort of give them guidance, because it has been hard and troublesome. And there's a lot of people who've had depression and issues, due to COVID. So AMIC's not sort of the bright and colourful sort of giveaway and things like MLA and stuff like that, but we're the guys and girls who are behind and trying to support and help people. So, I think overall everything's going along pretty well. Awesome. In the industry. Go support the butchers and, keep smiling and keep doing what you do best, and we're still kicking goals.
Yeah, well said, mate, well said. Well, I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to let you toddle off and count the rest of your turkeys and chickens, and maybe grab a lunch. And you're going to head down for a bit of a row this afternoon. Yeah, I was about to say that's the other side thing that I do is try to get out for a paddle, and heavily involved with the school and club things. So keeps me reasonably fit. But I might sneak off this afternoon and see what we can get away. Why not, mate? Why not? Well, it's been great to catch up with you, Marcus. Always good to have a chat, and I'll look forward to catching up to you when I get down to Tassie again. Always welcome, Dougie. Not a problem. Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot for your time today. Thank you. Cheers, mate.